we got with us, we have Meech, we have SpacialJones, and we're going to be talking about 2K, about what's been going on the run up to 2K24, gameplay, all the modes, stuff like that, and just kind of try to get together every other week. It's kind of what we're thinking of right now, and, you know, just get a pulse on what's going on in the community. So let's go around the room, man. You guys know these guys already, but we're going to start with Meech over there. How you been, man?
Been good. Just, you know, chilling, hanging out, waiting for this 24 to inevitably drop in our laps.
We're almost there, man. We're almost there. Spatial, what have you been up to, man? You've been busy last couple weeks, man. What's up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, been a little busy. Community day. Shout out to the Next Makers. Shout out to 2K. You know, blogs and, you know, content drops. Please check out my YouTube for any gameplays. Shout out to Floki for the assist on those. But yeah, man, it's been a busy time. I'm excited. We're six sleeps away or 7 sleeps away from 2K. So if anything, my countdown is gonna start after Labor Day. Then it'll be like, all right, cool. We're really right there.
It's been a long couple weeks, man. It feels like it's dragged, and we finally got a lot of news like flowing through. So that's cool. It's keeping us kind of like there, but it's also like, all right, let me just play already. Real quick, man, what platforms can everybody find you on if they're not already tapped in with you guys?
Gotcha. So you can follow me at I'm looking down because I don't even know my social media off the top of my head. That's how much I'm just like chilling with it. But no, mainly you can definitely follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, former Bird app, at CallMeMeech_. That's probably where you're going to see me a lot more because, I mean, I'm like top tweeter of all time, you know?
Top instigator.
Yeah, but other than that, man, YouTube, CallMeMeech. You can find me over at Twitch. Same exact thing. That's mainly where I'm at, those 3 places.
Cool. Spatial?
Yeah, man. Just like Meech, I'm on X, SpacialJones, Twitter, on Twitch, I'm SpacialJones. You can catch me on TikTok. Shout out to DFS and Hollywood Bud, man. I'm on there trying to get my numbers up, man, dropping content, you know, so catch me there. And you can obviously now catch me on our brand new pod, to be named later.
All right, man. You guys can find me on X. You guys can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and maybe a little bit on Kick. I'm trying to see how I diversify that split between Twitch and Kick. Give a little different takes on both platforms, little flavors. But anyway, man, like I said, on the run up to 2K, what have you guys been doing to like kind of pass the time until 2K? Meech, go ahead. We'll start with you, and then we'll just like circle around like the
kind of circle around. Yeah, man. So me, oh man, what have we been doing? So I've been doing a lot of outside stuff. I mean, like I said, if you follow me, man. If you follow me on X, man, I've been posting, you know, the moon and, you know, mountains, and I'm just out here doing anything, man. I'm just kind of relaxing, you know, just getting myself recharged. Oops, camera went off. My bad, y'all. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm just kind of hanging out, you know, doing things with the fam. And then when I'm in the house, get ready for this, because this is all I've been doing for sure, man. Boom! Diamond Dynasty, baby.
Already know. Is that 800,000 stubs?
Hey, man, look, we hood rich out here, you know.
Hey, man. I got you.
Nah, man, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been really on like a 2K cleanse for right now, just preparing for the new stuff.
I hear that, man. Spatial, what have you been up to, man?
Yeah, man, I've been I haven't been on MLB The Show, but I've been getting a lot of MLB The Show updates. Shout out to the old heads, man. Y'all know what's up. I've been playing 2K23 still. Streaming a little bit, you know, tried to be consistent throughout the summer with, you know, my equipment upgrades and things like that. Shout out to everybody that's come through the streams and shown me love on YouTube as well. I haven't really been playing anything else. I've been on the Steam Deck a little bit, playing Double Dragon. I still got a crazy backlog there too, and now Starfield's come out, so I got to figure out where I'm gonna play that. So you know, I will say though, it's not getting it done. Once you kind of get that taste of 24, and now we're in 24 season, it's I need it, man. I just need to play 24 until I can't play it.
I hear you, man. And Meech, you totally hooked me on that MLB The Show, man. I remember that stream, and I was like, give it a try. It was all right. It was cool, but I probably won't get back into it. That night, I'm like, let me just toss it on. He's playing it. I might as well play it. And then I've been playing every single day since that day and just kind of hooked in. I just locked in that Sammy Sosa yesterday, that collection, that live collection.
The core one?
Yeah, the core one. And I know there's going to be a program coming up, but anyway, we won't get too far into that. I deleted 2K23 it's been maybe like a week and a half or so, just to kind of try to force myself to cleanse a little bit. I feel that just to get a fresh perspective, be real hyped, starve myself before the feast type of deal. Played 2K16 on stream the other day just to kind of go back.
How'd that go?
Back, it was. I mean, I lost to the computer because everything's all different.
You probably couldn't access your MyTeam, right? I'm pretty sure those servers were shot.
Yeah. That's all. Actually, I didn't even play MyTeam back then. I would dabble in the mode, but it wasn't until really 2K19 that I really just dove into the mode, and that became like my mode.
Wow.
So yeah, man, the run up's been interesting. Let's see. Let's get into a little bit of the stuff that's going on over the summer, man. We've seen stuff on X just every other day. Everybody's bored and just has nothing to do on the wait to 2K24. So you see the Civil Wars, the playstyle debates, all that good stuff. You guys want to get into that? Is it silly? Is it valid? Is what are your takes on just playstyle debates in general?
I want Meech to go first, man, because I love hearing Meech's takes.
Top
on this.
instigator Meech.
He's been pretty active on X as well, kind of shutting down those discussions. So I'd really like to hear Meech's perspective.
I mean, let's just be honest. I think people are bored. I think we're just ready to play. Once the game comes out, I don't think you're gonna hear any of this stuff. But for what it's worth, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it's silly. There's a place and time for everything. I mean, there's a space for it that we could talk about it. Maybe not to the lengths that we've gotten, that has gotten to on X. With all some of the hostility and kind of attacking and stuff like that. It's just not necessary because at the end of the day, man, who cares? It's kind of it's. I think for me, I could see it in a different light because I'm like a hybrid. I see every single side. I've been, I'm really good friends with everybody on each side of it. So I see where these people are coming from. I see where these people are coming from. Honestly, I think it's humorous. I think it's just a way of pastime and stuff like that. As long as it doesn't get too deep and disrespectful, it's all fun. It's all fun in games, to be honest.
Meech is a double agent, y'all. That's what he's not telling y'all. Meech is infiltrating. He's infiltrating Comp Nation, Arcade Nation, Sim Nation. He's here to sow discord all over the place.
Hey, I got part-time shares in whole Triangle Nation.
Hey man, oh man, hold it down, Triangle Nation. We see y'all, man.
Oh man. All right, Spatial. What do you think about that, man? Besides that Meech is kind of he's starting the fires and then putting them out, when they get too hot, it's just in control of the whole assembly line.
I appreciate that. I think too. Just to say that first off, shout out to Meech for just kind of keeping it all in perspective over the summer. Whether you talk to him publicly or privately, he's been consistent in that. Shout out to guys like Tim and Blasian. They've also kind of been trying to make sure everybody has the proper perspective on this stuff. I think, somebody who's in Sim Nation, even if I'm on the lowest rung, the only thing I took offense with is the mischaracterizations of the arguments from Sim Nation, just because I've been around. Y'all been around too. Y'all know. Meech, and so when you hear people say well, there's these people who are saying this, and it's well, who are you talking about? That's kind of always been my thing. But as somebody who's I'd probably say in the last 2 years, maybe even 3, really opened my eyes up to different parts of the community, I completely understand the wanting to make sure your group is properly represented and their perspective is out there. What, you know, whether you're a comp player or if you're, you know, sim or whatever. But I think what gets lost in all that is like what the mission is, right? Like most people, you know, like me said, like whole Triangle Nation, we all know there's whole Triangle Nation out here, man, you know. And when you bump into them, what they trying to do, man? They trying to get a W. And so it's corny, but if it works, right? And it's not a like shot on their character, you know, even if you're mad in the moment where you're like, oh, people like this are the worst of us. And it's like, yeah, you might feel that way because you lost, but in the end, we're all just playing video games. So it doesn't really matter. This is an artificial environment. It's not real. And so like I just kind of, you know, as somebody on the older side, I'm 35 now, I'm not one of the little young boys. It's like, yo, let's just kind of talk about this stuff, but let's talk about it in a mature way. Like, I think that even Comp Nation, you know, they have certain issues with casual and the casual perspective. But at the same time, you know, I've appreciated somebody like DBG who's brought up, you know, making sure that we think about casuals, right? Especially when you talk about a mode like MyTeam that's fairly new. You know, I would say my career is probably a little bit older than MyTeam, right? Like maybe by like 5 years, maybe. I'd probably say like 5 years. And so I understand like wanting to make sure like, hey, those people want to play the game too, because a lot of the people that play 2K are casuals. You know, they pick up the game on the weekend and they probably don't play it all week. Like I got a godson, you know, he's 15. That little boy ain't playing the game. He's got school, man. You know, he's got school. He's got basketball. My best friend's son, his son's 10. 10-year-olds can't play 2K all day. You know, it's typically people like us where this is more than like a hobby for us, right? Like this is a part of our makeup. Like we're gamers at heart. And so I just think that the focus should be more so on, well, hey, what actually like makes the game not as fun? That I think it should just be simple, like as simple as that. You know, I really appreciate the walkback discussions that's been going on, not to jump ahead, because you kind of get the perspective of what the comp people are looking for, you know, and Meech had a perfect breakdown about, you know, that argument as well. Maybe he'll get to elaborate on that later. But when you kind of break that down, it's like, no, they're not saying, hey, they want to walk back all the time or they want to spam this. What they're saying is they want faster animations to do certain things. So you got to kind of like peel back that layers to get to that. And again, you only get to do that stuff, at least from what I'm seeing and what I've seen historically, when older people are in the room, when you have people like us who are kind of able to kind of break through that. Because the thing about 2K that's very interesting, it's similar to playing sports, is that like we all have different backgrounds. We all have different dialects, right? Like, you know, shout out to statistics. You know, when he's talking to his folks down there, he talk a little different than how I talk to my folks from Jersey. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. And so I think that energy can be lost in the translation of those words sometimes, right? Like he might be talking a little bit of trash, but he uses certain language. And then you go, well, yo, you're talking to me crazy. You know, that's simple human stuff. But social media, right? It's just words. You're not going to be able to get the context. So when you kind of keep all that in mind, like Meech said, it's just fun. It's just funny. So I just want us to like kind of get back to what we all care about in every community, man. Or if you're like legends like Steezo and Swante and those guys who are like one of one, truly. It's like everybody just wants a good game. It's really that simple, man. Like it's truly that simple. So we just kind of get back to that and be a little less judgy, you know, instead of taking random shots at people you don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy important, and it's so cool that you brought just like the human element of understanding and misunderstanding, you know, and with words, especially, you know, now we get a little bit longer posts and stuff. You got that check mark, but you know, short little sentences. Sometimes you gotta like chop a word here, there, whatever, or it's just like I said, it's or like you were mentioning, just different dialects, different ways of going about it. And you can't really like get that inflection of, okay, I'm just kind of being a little sarcastic and just joking around, this or that. A lot of times I'm gonna post something, you know, reply to somebody I know, just kind of. But I was like, bro, like people don't know who I am. They don't know if that's like me just like being messing around, poking a little fun, or just being like one of the many trolls, you know, the gremlins, like Jazz says. So I just delete them, and I'm just like, whatever. It's not that important, you know. Like I don't need the engagement that badly, you know. So I mean,
let me ask you a follow-up question about that though, Elevate. I think that's really interesting. Like, do you think that right there, where you're just like, like I don't, because we all kind of censor ourselves, right? Like even if you're in different group chats, you know, I've seen it, you know, just with myself, like I talk differently in one group chat than one do from another. Do you think that type of, I don't want to call it censorship because it's not that deep, but that kind of monitoring of your speech and what you're trying to relay, do you think that comes with age, or do you think that is an experience thing that you can kind of get as you grow? You know, I guess that's kind of age, but not necessarily. It's really just about where you frequent and the things you do.
Yeah, it's really just like your ability to learn from your own kind of like missteps, and also more importantly, and my wife is phenomenal at this, is learning from other people's missteps. You know what I mean? So you don't have to go through the mistake yourself. You see it happen, and you're like, okay, like in this situation, let me adjust how I would approach it a little bit, just to not like fall into like the dumb trap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not really so much about like censoring and, you know, not keeping it real or whatever like that. It's just about like trying to make sure that you're communicating intentionally, and like what you're trying to say is coming through in the clearest way. And it's always going to be subject to interpretation, but you know, you do your part to kind of like throw in those words, give it a little context, whatever, follow up. And we see stuff. Actually, we had an instance a couple of days ago, two days ago or so, where somebody made a comment under one of your posts, Spatial, that and when I saw it too, I was like, what? This doesn't sound like him, but like, yo, like you don't talk to Spatial like that, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I read like a follow-up response to you know, him responding to you, and I was like, okay, like I get like what he was trying to do, and I was like, but it's just like it's that quick, you know? And then when stuff like that happens, a lot of times it's like, well, I don't care what you say you meant, like I'm gonna take it how I took it the first time, and that's it. And that's like the end of it, you know?
Right.
Fortunately, you're like a very, you know, intellectual person that really understands the nuance of conversation and stuff. So it was like easy to smooth over. It's like, oh, misunderstanding, cool. No, it's all good. My bad. You know, whatever. But that's how things kind of like escalate out of line. And this is like where these debates between play style or this or that just totally get out of hand because somebody comes in flying with an elbow drop from, you know, left field, and then just
living our failed hoop dreams, right? Elevate. You know?
So
you say that to me, I might take it away. I'm sorry.
So, you know, but it's really about that. You know, we all play the same game, and it's wild that we're like, there's so much infighting, but like we're just like this tiny little percentage of like the world that like is really passionate about 2K, basketball, video games, stuff like that. So, I mean, we're all kind of fam. You know what I mean?
Right. 1,000%, man.
All right. Y'all want to jump into how you like to play the game, or just jump into gameplay?
I mean, we could probably put them like hand to hand. Maybe
let's do that.
So my play style is a little weird. I'm kind of like in this weird, like how I am in the community. I'm in this weird little middle ground. So, you know, I have this mixed element of like a simulation, you know, approach, but it also includes competitive or comp aspects in my game. So, I mean, a lot of times you'll see me in my play style, and usually what it really comes down to is kind of separate. So like the offensive side of my game is more oriented to like the simulation, whereas the defense has more of the compish aspect. So it's kind of how I blend it. I mean, if you know me, you know that like one of my favorite cards in 2K23 was Devin Booker. And mainly the reason why is because of the way that he creates his shot. So he has a crazy amount of different hop jumpers and spin jumpers and things that work very, very effectively in 2K23. Probably honestly, I would consider Book like the best shot creator in any 2K I've ever played. Like just the way he can get his shot off in so many ways. So it's kind of like how my game is. Everyone knows that. The other person that you can even like compare me to, as if any like wire listens, is if you know RCA, he's kind of like that same way.
Shout out to RCA.
Yep, shout out to RCA, real good dude. We'll have him back here from
soon,
his,
yeah.
you know,
the return soon,
yeah. So that's kind of like my play style is what I like to do. Kind of leading right into the gameplay, seamlessly into that. I'm a little more excited for 2K24 gameplay just because they have the Pro Play Edition, which, again, like I said, on the offensive side, I really like to kind of simulate what those players, how they look, you know, when you watch Devin Booker, that's how I like to use them. When you watch Kevin Durant, it's how I like to use them. So with the Pro Play Edition, it's really the biggest thing for me because if I can mimic those guys, Jokic, even downloading a post that has me. I seen a like a that little weird hook that Jokic throws. It's not even like a hook shot. He just kind of turns and like flings it, but he goes in all the time. I seen that animation in the game. So
Crazy.
I mean, the Pro Play, that impression of it is what has me kind of very optimistic, kind of heading into 24, and what has me more excited in quite a long time, I would say.
That's cool. That's cool. And I think the thing about Meech's approach that I appreciate, somebody who, again, I'm learning more about comp, right? I'm learning more about, shout out to the park community and those guys and how they all rock. But the thing about Meech that's so dangerous when you play him is that, like, and I don't know, like, Elevate, I know you hooped. To me, it's almost like a hooper's mindset because it's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to get into my stuff. But if I see that right side and I can get to my Devin Booker step back, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm not going to feel bad about it. You got to stop me. Like, I had a buddy, man, growing up. He's on X. His name is Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. Shout out to Ben. And Ben, even when we were in high school, I'm talking like 2005, 2006, he was 6'4". He was the only dude I ever seen that knew how to get into a stop and pop jumper like somebody in the league because he's 6'4". So he had fast feet. So he would set it up with an in and out, 1-2. You think he's going downhill, pull up, and a rise up on a 6'4" guy on a jumper with a high jumper. I'm only 6 foot, 6.5. That's tough, man. You're not guarding that. And so like Meech kind of plays like that. Like, we had a game in Czar's tournament this summer. Shout out to Czar for his MyTeam mini tournament. And hey, man, Meech had Wemby out there. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to this Wemby fade, dude. You got to take that. You got to deal with me. Like, and like, that's the stuff I kind of like because it's a good blend. And I think even in my own headspace, like, I don't have all of the comp moves down, but I kind of know what I want to get into. I think this summer I've really been working on kind of trying to be more like Jersey Made and Kev, where I'm like, or even Black Cobra, where I'm getting to my spot slower versus like being too quick and like not letting anything develop. You know what I mean? Because when you play fast, sometimes you can just like process too fast and then you're not necessarily getting the shot you want. And a lot of times, like, if you ever watch me play, I'm always trying to like see what you're going to do. So like, I'll come down and I'll hit you with a full court in and out. And if you bite off the full court in and out, I'm going to the basket. I don't care. Like, it's just back up off me, dog. I'm going to get around you. And like, it's not even really clever. It's just like a basic move. And so now I'm kind of like using more protect dribbles. I'm kind of walking. It's probably making my game suffer a little bit, but I'm trying to just kind of refine my shot selection without having to necessarily play fast. I consider like myself a sim player to a point, but just probably from a standpoint of like, I'm trying to learn different offenses. Like once we first got freelances, when Czar came to 2K, I used to run the triangle all the time. And I actually got to the point where I knew how to run the triangle freelance without the play art. Like I could run it. And then, we started getting more shooting type players, and then they put in 21 delay, which there's, that's just that's like a video game freelance, similar to like the comp freelance, right? That Czar made. There's no team that like runs that. And so once I kind of got on that, it was like, all right, cool. Now I'm getting the threes and I have a lot more room for play creation. So that's kind of what keeps me running faster probably than I want to. So I try to use certain sim aspects, but I also try to just see what type of shots I can get that I like to get with certain players. And to kind of talk about 24, somebody that's played 24, man, there's just so many more animations, man. It's a lot. Like I wish I had the clip ready. I would literally show you. Devin Booker's got some new animations. It's crazy. Shout out to Jazz, because Jazz may have them in his gameplays, but Devin Booker's got some new stuff. He's got this like, I don't know if y'all remember in like 2K, I think it was 2K19 or 2K20. Steph Curry had like that walking crossover that you could do with R2. Devin Booker has that, something like that now, and he can explode out of it, and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. So shout out to Jazz, man. Jazz put me and Floki on. But it's stuff like that where I see in 24 that I'm excited about, because I'm like, man, it's gonna be a lot of deep diving, a lot of getting my butt kicked and losing. But it's gonna be a lot of deep diving in on trying to find what type of shots I want to get, what type of players I'm comfortable with. I like the shooting. I like the new shot meter. The pill shot meter is probably my favorite. I like the dribbling. I like the cross launch. Shout out to Mike Wang. I hope that doesn't change too much, but I really like the cross launch. The cross launch combined with the two-step badge is kind of like something I'm into right now, because I like the Euro game. I've always liked layups. The scoop layups with that scooper badge. Oh my gosh, they're so good, because you can basically start them from pretty far. It's almost not like limitless range or limitless takeoff far, but pretty close to it, where somebody's on your hip, down left, down right, they're going right to the rim. I did it in my gameplay with Floki. You'll notice, like I did it with Bones Highland. I think I did one with Russ, and that's the thing. Those types of layups, while they're fast, which is something we all kind of wanted, faster layups, can be blocked, with great rim protection. If somebody knows how to switch off and bring their big. Floki, you'll notice in my gameplay on his channel, he kind of sets me up. Like, he lets me beat his first guy. He immediately switches to the big. He kills that leg, but the layup happens super fast. So it's stuff like that I'm really looking forward to diving into. My one probably thing that I wanted to see that I didn't see, I will say, is big players like KP and Wemby. They're kind of crazy still. They kind of still move a little bit crazy. Less of those like turbo blocks where they're, kind of like, I call them rocket blocks, where you're facing the wrong way and then you just speed over while you're in midair and turn and block. Less of that. But on the offensive side, it felt like a little crazy going against Wemby. It felt like I couldn't do anything. But the matchup I had on him was Valanciunas. Valanciunas can't guard on the perimeter. Yeah, man, that's just bad. So I'm looking forward to playing more of the game and figuring out, if you have, like, for instance, let's say we get an early amethyst DeAndre Jordan that maybe has some clamps, maybe probably wouldn't give him right stick ripper. But just some sort of perimeter defense badges on a big. I want to know what that's going to do and what type of animations we're going to see from those type of matchups, because there are more ball pickup animations from good defense that you can force now, which I really, really like. Shout out to 2K for that. But again, as we kind of go forward in the next few years, I really just want to see the bigs who are offensive bigs that have a perimeter game. I want to see them look a little bit more distinct, where it's fast, but it doesn't look like a guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't look like Giannis having Damian Lillard's blowout animation, stuff like that. I want to see, like, Wemby have his own kind of set. I want to see Karl Anthony Towns kind of have his own set of animations where he can, play well, a little bit faster than a big, but slow like a big can be. I think the benefit of being a big player is you get to shoot over people, right? So if you have somebody like Wemby or KP, man, it's going to be really, really tough in the early game for us to kind of deal with that. So I'm looking forward to next week and what we kind of see in the very early Wemby we get. I'm curious.
Yeah, that balancing is always an issue, and what I'm curious to see is, like, when it comes to, like, Wemby versus, like, a guy like Shaq or Wilt that were just, like, crazy strong, is, like, that going to get them to off their spot? You're going to be able to hold position and really, like, cause havoc on that end. On the other end, are they going to just be able to, I mean, because imagine like Shaq or Prime Wilt just posting up Wemby, you know, just like bump, dunk, you know what I mean?
Right.
So those are the things that I'd love to see like get really, really balanced in the long scheme. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm very excited about it as well. To kind of jump into my play style a little bit, and I mean, I'm very sim oriented, but from a perspective of just like I want things to look like you would actually be able to do them on a court. You know what I mean? I really don't like the perspective of like, okay, sim is just walk the ball up the court, like you're playing like 50s ball or something. Like that's not what it is. You know, it could be like playing in like, you know, a rec type of environment, like where you're just up and down the court, but I don't want to see mechanics and animations that are like broken to all bits, where like it defies the laws of physics and what we're trying to do here. Or things that are just like they don't trigger a collision when like they should. Those are like the things that I'm more focused on. And I used to be way more like hybridish, like you were saying, Meech. I remember in like 2K20, which was like my second year of my team, I remember watching a lot of Unbeatable Jacob, a lot of RCA, a lot of Ty too, back then too, and just adapting some of those things. Books put me onto a lot of little animations, like on the down low, with his At Me Bro show. Shout out to Books.
Shout out Books.
So it was a lot more part of my game then. And then I just kind of like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I got a little older or something, and I got very anti-meta the last like year, especially. Chat's always making fun of me. Shout out Matt Bless for that. But this year I definitely want to like get more to a more moderate position and like understand all aspects of stuff. Cause my whole thing was always like, I want to be able to play how I want to play offensively, recreating moves, how players look, just like you were saying, Meech. And I also just on defense, I just want to stop like the most meta of comp meta stuff. I want to be able to like hold my own and make it difficult for them on that end. So that's kind of my approach. And then defense leading to offense, stuff like that. And I'm excited about 2K24, what it's going to mean. I was very happy to hear that the blowout dribbles could be like intercepted and were like much more live feeling. So that's exciting. And yeah, man, we're hoping for the best. We're hoping as the pro play gets integrated more. And one thing I wanted to ask you, Spatial, what was like a non like signature-ish, like just like a little side animation or something that kind of stood out? You're like, oh, that's different than it was in pro play, like coming off the screen or something like that, fighting over an off-ball screens, things like that.
I didn't see anything like that personally that caught my eye, but I thought it was interesting when I saw Black Cobra's clip. Shout out to Black Cobra of Paul Pierce kind of stumbling off the handoff. I think a lot of the animations that I saw were kind of more so in the context of offense and on-ball defense. So, like I said, there's just a lot of, you can be really bumpy, man. Like you can be really, really bumpy. And Czar kind of gave up the gems on how to ideally play perimeter defense or on-ball defense, you know, less about holding L2 and more so, you know, speeding up. It's almost like what would you say? Almost like leveling to an extent. It's like, all right, if you're not directly in front of your guy, why are you holding L2? You know, holding L will just allow you to kind of move faster anyway. You know, when you go for the cutoff, you hold L2. And then once you kind of want to shift or like, swivel your feet and beat them to the next spot, then you hold R2 and L2 at the same time, you know, or R and L on Xbox. And it's stuff like that. Like I noticed, like, again, you can just force a lot more ball pickups, even with players who don't necessarily have the best defensive badges. If you're good at beating them to the spot, that's really more so the game from the perimeter defense end, where I saw more animation content, more animations that way defensively. Offensively, man, it's the dribbling. There's a lot. It seems like they have a lot of different SIGs. Russell Westbrook's dribble package is kind of crazy. And then the dribbling, at least for me, felt different because it seemed more so like, y'all remember Live's rhythm dribble system? It kind of seems like that to a point, because, you know, you can basically do certain size ups, you know, by whole, with R, R and just kind of I think up allows you to do like a sig, and then you can do a faster one where it'll play out, and then you can explode out of that too. You can do cross launches out of that. So there's just a lot of different animations, man, a lot of different ones. Paul George's animations, at least for me, really, really stood out. Super smooth. Like, just getting to his shot is smooth. It's fast. Kawhi felt really cool. Like those wings, those athletic wings. That's kind of what I really, really liked, and their animations really stood out to me. When I was using the Pelicans, it was a little different because it was really just Zion, and shout out to the Bulldozer badge, because man, that is I'm looking forward to my team and getting my first Bulldozer player where I can just attack from the baseline, and it's like, you're dead here. Sorry, buddy. You better bring some help. Because you see, like, there's a lot more bumpiness that Zion has just kind of going to the basket. And the green window, you'll notice it kind of fluctuates, but you'll see that bumpiness. Like, all right, this defender is a poor defender. He's closing out Zion baseline. I'm basically not even doing a blowout. I'm just hitting him with Bulldozer going forward, so he gets bumped back. He recovers, gets to the rim, and gets bumped again. You can, like, that Bulldozer badge has a lot of stuff tied to it. I did not see, because I didn't use any players with a movable, I forgot what it's called, not a movable object, but I forgot the counter badge
like
to Bulldozer.
Force or something like that.
Yes. I didn't have any players with that, so I want to know what animations are tied to that. However, I have seen some animations where down in the paint, you can force a ball pickup down there too. So there's a lot of animations in this game, man. It's one of those things I think people like us will appreciate, especially, with our experience as longtime 2K players. But that makes me excited because I just like playing defense. I love being able to be a good defender. I love the impact of off-ball pass. Off-ball pass is really nice, man. The spot badge, if you're in rec. What is it? Not spot badge. Spot finder. Spot finder is sweet. Has a lot of different animations because it's basically turbo to go. Like if you're running and then you hit turbo again, and then what you'll notice, especially if that player doesn't have off-ball pass, get off me. Like, I'm out of there. And now that allows you to kind of get cuts, or if you're nasty, you got a shooter, maybe you're spotting up to a spot now. I didn't get to activate any of that stuff. But stuff like that is very, very interesting. There's a lot we got to discover, man. And I really just hope that everybody keeps an open mind and really explore the game. Like, don't necessarily look for the meta stuff too quick, unless you're comp and that's where you make your money. I get it. But for the rest of us, explore it, man. There's so much to see.
That's cool, man. I hope that leads to just kind of like multiple metas, like a multiverse of metas emerging this year.
Yes.
Where you can be really, really effective using like, a really fast style dribbler or a more power dribbler or inside big, stretch big, whatever that may be. I think when we get to that point where we have, kind of like that, this strength here, and then you have to have a defensive guy that can deal with that particular strength. And then you have those balances and you have to make those decisions with your lineup. That's where we're going to get to a point in gameplay where it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be really fun for like everybody from sim guys to more comp guys, where they're going to be able to like just totally annihilate somebody that's not prepared for their style, and it's going to force those decisions where it's just not like, okay, like, let's just do this muscle memory and same thing over and over until the game breaks, that type of mindset, versus like, okay, let me get you with this because you're just not prepared, and like you said, right. You're on the perimeter. You don't have somebody with a movable enforcer. You got somebody, a strong power dribbler with bully or whatever, and that's it, man. You're just gonna have to live with that. It's gonna be a hard day at the office. Yeah. All right, man. Let's transition real quick to my team, and we'll let Meech speak because he's been listening patiently for a while there. We got my team, man. It's like a whole new world in my team. Like, everything is just like flipped upside down. Like, let's talk about it, man. Let's get into it. My team.
Oh, man. Well, let's just say I didn't expect all the changes they were going to make. It kind of hit me like the day of the block, I was kind of I was like obviously waiting on it, but I'm like, man, I think I even tweeted some stuff out. I was like, man, my team has to like do something, like actually do something. You can't come out with the same, we're doing this, because if it sounded anything similar, just with the way 23 went for, I won't say everybody, but I mean, it affected the whole My Team community, whether, you're part of like band waves or not, whether you were pretty much enjoying the game or not. Like, I mean, the atmosphere of it was just not, it wasn't the pleasant year. It wasn't a pleasant year at all. So I was like, man, my team has to like do something crazy. Because if not, especially with like the rollout, if you're on socials, a lot of the stuff that they explain, it gets you more ready for park or pro am or that side of the game. Because my team, we know that like, okay, maybe they have, these badges and they're talking about all these badges, but in my team, with us knowing the recent years of pacing, everyone's going to get it. So why would I care about any of this stuff? And then they kind of go into like, oh, and how in park you can evolve your badges, how you play. So now it's introducing like new ways to play the game. Instead of just you mindlessly grinding badges, it's forming the way you play. So everything it was talked about was like, wow, well, maybe I should play park this year, or, because it's just like a different side. So I was like, man, my team has to do something. And then like the blog dropped and like they did it. Like, it completely changed the mode. I don't know. I'm really excited. It actually got me more excited for my team itself, just because I didn't expect as many changes from, taking out the auction house to, again, pro play being the thing. Now they have things kind of, a little bit more interesting with that season pass. We kind of have a taste of, like a grind progression with like the Brandon Roy type of ordeal, which really seems like a revamped trophy case so far, at least from the way it's been sectioned. But it just seems like I think the auction house thing may be one of the bigger things that kind of takes away, because that's going to determine a lot of the landscape for how, everyone's accessibility to cards. But man, I don't know. It's hard to even like kind of conjure up like how I feel about it, because everything is just so new. It feels like I felt like going from 22 to 23 felt like, whoa, like this trophy case, like my team feels different. But once the trophy case concluded, it felt like my team. RNG, like it went back to the same thing. Whereas like for this one, I don't know. It just with so many key changes, like taking out like an auction house, which is huge. Having an in-game marketplace that supposedly 2K is controlling. So seeing how that works, just a lot of moving parts that I think is just gonna kind of make for an interesting year. And then of course I always go back to the pro play, because for me, gameplay is more king than content. So if the gameplay is good, I can get through mid-tier content if I enjoy playing the game. That's kind of how it is for me. So if those two things kind of balance and lift each other up, and the pro play, advances the game to better gameplay, then they kind of take the content piece and just, simmers there. Or if that's outstanding, then I don't know, my team could be, it could be really good this year. I'm hoping it is.
Spatial, auction house change, good or bad thing?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot. First off, shout out to all of our guys, man. Our guys like Jay, Dogi, OGs like Spaceward, man, who really, really made a name from auction house content. For me, man, for Jones, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. I think the auction house being on didn't really take away from my experience at all. As you guys know, I am a spender. I don't make any qualms about it. I play how I want to play. However, I've never been in the business of promoting people to buy packs at all. I think that everybody, especially in these times, should want to be economical with whatever they engage in. You want to make sure you're doing what you're doing the best way possible with the least amount of impact to you and your family or whatever financially, right? But seeing the auction house be removed for the player market, I'm familiar with a player market. The very first MyTeam had a player market, and it was cool. It wasn't predatory, man. Even back then, I was buying packs, but you didn't have to. Like they made ways for us to get gold players. It was obviously the thing back then in the first MyTeam was the historic players were from the gold packs, which you paid money for. However, if you went 12-0, you had to advance 12-0 a few times. That was where you got Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan, right? They were very rare to pull them out of packs. So I just have a little bit of at least trust on my side, even if it's misguided. You could argue that I think 2K is going to do a good job of making sure that those card values aren't too crazy. I was kind of perusing the blog when Meech was talking and just kind of looking at that Ruby Patrick Ewing, man, $25K for a Ruby dude. Like, I look at that two ways. If you pull them, damn, you hit, right? Now, if you want to buy them, 25K is a lot. Like, I think in the pre-orders, what is it? You get 50K. So that's half of your value for one Ruby card, right? Half of what you just got. And I think, or at least I feel like MyTeam points, you're going to want to be very precious on spending them now, right? So without having an auction house, to me, it just sounds like you got to play. And Meech brought it back to gameplay. Even though the auction house is removed, I think folks will like the gameplay. I mean, I like 23. I probably like 23 a bit more than most. I know I probably like it more than the comp community. But I did like 23's gameplay. There were some issues, but I did like it. So I feel like I'm going to like this one. I didn't use the auction house a lot. I just don't. I've hit in the auction house, though. I've hit accidental snipes. I think last year I bought a freaking diamond, a whole like 20, I think it was like 25 diamond contracts. I think I got them for like 17K because somebody sold the whole collection he had by accident. Like, that was cool. That gives you great value. But now I didn't take advantage of selling colorways. Shout out to T Smoles. I didn't take advantage of all that stuff. So it doesn't impact my experience. But I understand people who have that taken away from them and they're like, yo, I don't know. But to me, that suggests a bigger problem. I think the bigger problem is a lot of users don't necessarily like the gameplay as much. And so I feel good about where the gameplay is, at least from what I've played so far. And I really hope that a lot of people like it. I think that they're going to make a lot of ways for us to earn. I just feel that way. Again, if you play and you don't have to spend money on contracts, all you're doing is earning. That's it. It's just an addition. So, grind through whatever you want to grind through. And even if you do it casually, right? You keep your pre-order empty. Don't spend that at all. And through some of the pre-order bonuses, you get some players. Take your one player and grind co-op, man. Grind co-op. Grind triple threat offline. If they doubled the MT values, I was trying to think and do the math. I was playing triple threat offline earlier, 300 MT. They doubled that, so now we're talking about maybe what 900, 600 MT for a 3-minute match, and then whatever's on the ladder if they're still doing anything like that. Again, that's not a lot, but I feel like that can accumulate. Now you're talking about maybe getting 10K in less than an hour at that rate, right? Because you can knock out 10 triple threat offline games pretty quickly. So if it's easier for you to get 10K, depending on the rate of that, I think we're in a good place. I think we'll be in a good place. Just speculating. But again, I do feel for those guys, man. I wasn't on the side of the auction house bans or the MyTeam bans or anything like that. But I always feel like the mode is better when more people are playing it. I truly feel that way. And so I hope everybody messes with the gameplay, because then you'll kind of see. You don't want to sit there and mess around in the menus, man. You want to get to that action. You want to play some co-op. You want to play some triple threat offline. You want to play some triple threat online. You want to play unlimited. And it sounds like it's all of that stuff is very user friendly, since, and this is probably the downside, MyTeam maybe not be as competitive as some of the more competitive modes in Park, with us not being in a green or miss environment. I don't necessarily think that that's going to impact my experience, because as an older 2K player, I've always thought of shot quality over the different types of shots that I'll make, if that makes sense. It's kind of my approach to what I get. So, hey, if you make a slightly contested whatever, I'm not tripping off that because I know I'm gonna get a good shot on the other end, and you got to guard me. So I think it'll be fun, man. I think I think the mode is going to be a lot more inviting to more people than we all think. But I feel for those guys. I feel for those guys who miss a big piece of, what my team was. Like we're truly in a new era, and it just feels like we have a lot of unknown. So I'm hoping on launch night. Granted, everything goes smooth with our brand new crossplay, but I'm hoping everybody kind of can have a good time and we can all just rock out and play games, because that to me should be the goal, man. We should all be playing together, whether it be friendlies, whether it be, run with me in co-op, whether it be, let's run some triple threat friendlies where it's just my 3 versus your 3, like whatever the case may be. Let's do what we got to do and have a good time.
Yeah. Hey, but
go ahead.
Can I? Do you mind if I just touch on a few things too here, just because it's coming off like what Spatial said, but I'll try to make it kind of simple and quick. So I know I kind of glanced over the auction house thing. My real quick take on that, just way too early to tell. It's just way too early to tell. A lot's going to come down to how 2K runs that environment, because if they're the sole owners of what these cards, from which I understand it's not a gem tier scale, so it's not like every ruby is going to be so and so. It's a player to player. So however they decide to run that really controls it. However, I've seen it on the opposite end as well. I mean, and we all have seen it. Accessibility to cards is not something that like was there before 2K took over the market. Yeah, I mean, going for 3-4 million, like, I mean, that's just stuff that just doesn't happen. I mean, full lock-in collections from a new every card, 3 to 5 million. Like, they obviously had to do something. So I guess it was in their best interest that, hey, we're gonna do something and we're gonna take control of it. No, how they take control of it, that's still to be determined. So that'll be a big part. And then just really quickly too, about Spatial saying, I kind of feel for those people. So like, shout out to guys like Lethal, SP2K,
Shout out to them, man.
Like our sniping content creators, because I know that I saw SP said that he was done. I kind of seen him recently kind of engage his audience a little bit more. But what I just want to say to those guys is like, I feel for you. I know that that's like, maybe that's how you use 2K. You didn't want to play these things. The market was your niche. It was your mini game. That was your content. The only thing I will say is, if you all decide that you're not doing content anymore, that's totally up to you. But what I will say, and like, I never fully watch like the content like religiously, but I've seen enough of like snipers content. You guys are really freaking creative. Like, probably some of the most, because it takes a creative mind to take something so what can almost be considered boring, sitting on filters for hours just to get your content, for you all to take hours of your time and edit and trim and put in these effects down to 2-minute videos, 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos. Oko Dre, same thing. Most of those guys, I feel like you also, a lot of at least like the sniping creators I know also do the the My Eras thing, and that's a whole different type of creativity. I just challenge you, if you still want to involve yourself with my team, you all are creative enough to take it and probably make it something that my team, the my team creators who actually are playing, even better, because you all are already doing it. So don't let it get you too down. Approach the mode, kind of look into it, see if there's anything you can do with it. I just want you all to know that you all have that creativity to make some of this content, probably stuff that we've never even seen before. So I just wanted to kind of give that out to those guys. Hopefully you're listening. I just kind of felt for it. So I saw it, and those are the people that I didn't feel bad about the auction house going, but I understood, people who've grown a channel simply based on that content. Just know your audience is there for you. They're not there to see you snipe. I mean, they may be, but your actual audience, like your hardcore subscriber base, if you go into something else, they're more likely inclined to like say, okay, I'm still here, because they're there for you, So that's just kind of my little tidbit. Sorry.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you said that. And that was really one of the first things that kind of cemented my love for my team. Really, like the whole auction house part of it. Actually, my first experience with like the content creator world of my team specifically was actually Carlos' story with Sniper Story. Shout out to him. And it was such a nice little blend of, you know, being able to play and make my lineups and stuff, and then take a break, go sit on the filters for a little bit, and that thrill of getting the big snipes. You know, that was a cool aspect of my team for me. And I've gone away from working the auction house more and more as I've gotten more into the gameplay aspects and content creation aspects of stuff, whatever. But it was kind of like, dang, like the end of an era. But absolutely, they had to make it was like necessary. They had to do it, man. I mean, we've all seen like the scrolling, you know, clips on Twitter, X, whatever. It's just like some random diamond car going for like, there's like 10 of them in a row going for like 3 million MT. The shoe boost went for like 10 million. And that's why, like, those MT farming things, like, they really messed that up for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was something that was cool to, like, engage in, like, you know, the sniping, Space for Bird. I watched a lot of him. You know, obviously, when I got into it, shout out to him. And it's really cool to, like, get that economy going, to like fund your source of fun with the cards you want to try out and stuff like that. Get to a certain threshold where you're just not stressed about the MT anymore because you put the time into working it. So that is definitely an aspect of it that it's like, dang, it's, you know, pour one out for the auction house. But again, it's necessary, and it's really going to be interesting how they kind of, you know, how we had like the 10% tax for like sales. Like, how are they going to handle that from like buying a card to like resale value of it? And is that going to be too big of a money pit, or is it going to be just enough to kind of like be okay? How's it going to fluctuate with deal of the days? Like, what's going to happen with all that? And the biggest thing too, I think, is for them to be clear on how cards are going to be valued. You know, how is that price point going to be, you know, arrived at? That way it's just not like randomly one week, oh, this card is here, you're all excited, but he's going to be like a million, you know, MT or whatever. You know, it's got to be something that kind of fits with the flow of something that we just understand it and it makes sense, so that we can not like flip out about it. You know, it's going to be interesting though. It's going to be interesting. And it, you know, like the show has a marketplace too, but it's user to user and stuff like that. So it's regulated in a different type of way. So again, it's just a wait and see on that, but I'm excited. I'm excited about some of the new modes that are coming in. I was actually very like lukewarm on the salary cap mode when I first read it, mainly because it was not what I kind of wanted it to be. But the more I've kind of like come around to it, I'm kind of excited to try it out. Excited to try out the new the game format and stuff like that. Seems like it'd be cool. What have we heard about Unlimited? I mean, we've heard the championship ring thing. Other than that, it's going to be similar to last year. What have you guys heard?
What? I mean, I've heard that it's just basic from, you know, I don't, because there's been nothing else mentioned about it. So I think they took basically the side quest and just attached it to the weekend. But we should be expecting 23's unlimited system. That's pretty much what I've gotten from it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. I kind of thought it was going to be like similar to 23, but the benefit maybe will really be playing on the weekend. However, you know, I didn't necessarily like that. And I say that as somebody who I don't even play unlimited. Y'all know how I get down. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I like the idea of, all right, let me try to win 7 games on a Saturday morning, right? Or 4 out of 7 games. But, you know, for those people who like to be competitive, you know, we all bumped into people early on last year who were trying to climb up the leaderboards and get those leaderboard logos and stuff. You know, like, is that still going to be a part of the experience? Like, you know, because what are we going to be? What are those people who want to be competitive, who want to face the best teams? What are they going to be doing all week? Like, and I think from what we've seen with Trophy Case, while Trophy Case was a great idea, you know, in its inception and in the early game, I think DBG and a lot of those people made some great points about the accessibility of that, right? Like, it's September, you know, y'all both got kids. If your sons wanted to get into my team, it's September. They don't got time to grind trophy cases, right? They don't have time to grind throughout the week. So it's like, well, then what do you do? So I'm trying to just kind of think about why we didn't get more information in that way. I'm hoping we get more, but y'all know how it is with my team. It typically seems like we learn more about the mode once it drops. But it was a little stark for me, the difference. I'm used to my team unlimited in blogs getting a bigger piece of the spotlight. It seemed like when you go back through this blog, it's a lot more of this is what we did, this is what we changed, this is our thought process. We got a hell of a lot of quality of life changes too. Just the fact that you can now make multiple lineups for different modes is really cool. But, my team unlimited being such a bigger part of getting the better rewards and being competitive, seeming like on the side is curious to me. But I just think it's one of those more to come type deals. Or at least that's my hope.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they have definitely focused on just playing the game more. XP is now just tied to playing the game, which is a great change, I think. A lot of people like to grind, and shout out DFS and Floki that they love the grind of the agendas and stuff. But I just want to play. Like I want to play. Like I don't want to just farm rebounds with this guy for like an hour because I want to progress. I just want to get everything in the flow. I think something the show does really well is do that, just kind of let you play. So it is curious. They seem to kind of just, as an aside, like gloss over the unlimited, and they went into the salary cap a little more, but I feel you on that. There was a little bit of just okay, like, but how does it really work? How does unlimited really work? Okay. So we'll see, man. We'll see how that goes. The other thing I wanted to touch on with my team before we jump into other stuff and kind of start wrapping things up is the pacing, man. So we're starting with like way lower tier cards, which I was really, really happy to see. Diamonds are going to be the highest tier cards available for the first 2 seasons, which is cool. Most of the normal Series 1 cards, whatever, going to be up to Sapphires, I believe. A couple of lock-ins, I think they said, for Rubies, and then game mode rewards and stuff like that. Ruby tier. So totally different than Pink Diamonds on day 1 last year. How you guys feeling about that?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, okay. I love the thought of it. I say that. I approach everything kind of cautiously. Initially, I was losing my mind. I was like, yes, diamonds for 2 seasons, blah, blah, blah. And then once the emotion kind of comes down, I just hope and pray that they're diamond cards, not a pink diamond wrapped in a diamond. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know that another thing that we usually get every few years in 2K is a new card tier. So like, I hope that this is not like the preparation for a new card tier, and then now we're just kind of thinking of scaling things. So our before pink diamonds are now our diamonds, and our before opals are now our pink diamonds, because we're making room for that plutonium tier. I don't know, something, but I think that it'll be okay because of the way that they kind of talked about it. They mentioned that they were listening, and it was too fast, so they needed to scale it back. So with that being said, I'm happy for sure that it's going to be those diamonds, because there's, again, like 23 is just the perfect example, because in my mind, like, I enjoyed parts of 23, but ultimately it was just not a pleasant experience for me either. And a lot of that was the gameplay. And it was because the cards were just too quick, and it was kind of scattered. There wasn't a real like progression to what things were. We got Tim Thomas, who was a pink diamond. That card was like a dark matter. Like, I'm just like,
in November.
In November, and exactly, just a few months after the game, it was season 2.
Yep.
He was better than the ultimate. Let's just put it that way. He was a pink diamond, but he was far away better than dark matter Larry Bird.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things. I'm just have the pacing actually mean something. Elevate talks a lot about gym integrity, and that's definitely a thing that needs to happen. So as long as it's fully slowed down, I think it'll be better in the long run. Like, let's just even take 2K23, okay? If we had diamonds for the first 2 seasons, in the same breath of what 23 was, we don't see Tim Thomas until at least season 3, maybe season 4.
Yeah.
And in 23, by season 3, a lot of the damage was already kind of being done. So it at least prolongs the longevity of the game just from literally scaling down and kind of slowing things down, slowing it down a bit. Letting the craziness come a little bit later. So I'm very excited for that as well. I don't like when everybody's just running around kind of doing everything. It's just too quick for me. So gym tier, I'm really happy about it. I hope that while also taking into account gym tier, we're making sure that we're classifying things in the right way. So what I kind of mean by that is also controlling the pacing animation wise, because a card like Tim Thomas, even in 23, no one complains if Tim Thomas's animations were put on Kyrie Irving. Yeah, it's just, but when he's 6'10" with a 7'3" wingspan, he's,
one of one.
I'm saying, like, he was as tall as Tim Duncan, if not taller. And Tim Duncan was our trophy case dark matter, so it's just like, it just made no room for improvement.
Yes.
With a card like Tim Thomas existing. So, I'm hoping that they scale it down too and just know that, okay, we have these diamonds. So, first up for the very elite dribbling and stuff is the Kyrie Irvings, the Steph Currys, the Allen Iversons, the John Stocktons. Our centers are maybe a little bit slower as well, for a little bit until that picks up. And then eventually, you can start expanding it across, but kind of controlling the pace in that way too is a bigger ordeal, because a diamond 6'10" with some better six, let's just say a diamond Magic Johnson. Okay. If you drop a diamond Magic Johnson and you have a diamond Steph Curry, if Magic is doing everything Steph has, you're already ruining the pacing again. So
yeah,
I love the diamonds, but it definitely comes down to additional things to pace the game as well. It's not just the gym tier. So I hope that that's being taken into account.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to touch on that too, man. That's a great point. And obviously I'm always talking about the gem tier integrity. It seemed like in 23, they did that a few times, like they had like this kind of trying to keep a pace, and then they drop a Tim Thomas. Then, they drop the flash forward set. Then they drop a Yao. And it's just like, you're dropping these cards. You're like, I guess their mindset was like, all right, let's sprinkle in some craziness, but it was so crazy that it just kind of like ruined everything around it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Instead of keeping it steady, keep the power creep flowing at a reasonable pace, and then at the end unleash everything if you want all that craziness in. But the fact is, the faster we get to a point where there's no differentiation between cards, the more kind of fun some people think it is, but it's more just boring. It's everybody's doing the exact same thing, playing the exact same way. And Jazz always like talks about all that jazz. Shout out to him about if like it's interesting that we all think differently. If we all thought the same, everything would be boring. If all cards are exactly the same, it's boring. It's like the same principle applies to that, where it's like what makes it interesting is the uniqueness of how they can play, how you can be effective with them. As soon as you start losing that, when badges start becoming less exclusive, with animations start becoming less exclusive, when height becomes just the only determining factor, wingspan, you're kind of in no man's land, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people feel like that. I've heard a lot of comp guys. I was interacting with JC2K on X, and he had the same kind of sentiment. Like, the comp community doesn't want that crazy kind of pacing where everything is like that. We're all in the same boat. We're a lot more similar than we are different when it comes to a lot of topics. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jones, you want to touch on the pacing and gem tier real quick, and then we'll jump into a little bit of crossplay and park stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think you guys nailed it. In terms of what the issues are. I would even argue now with this new no auction house environment, right? Like, I just look at it as now 2K has the ability to sell those players directly now. And if they are going to sell us those players, I think that there needs to be a whole reimagining of the power creep at this point. Like, I almost feel like early game, it should be guards. Like, it should just be all guards. Cause then you can also like span the gamut of like going, okay, cool. So we can make, I don't know, dude. We can make JoJo White awesome. We can make Walt Frazier awesome in the early game. And then you kind of get like the middle of the year, you know, so we're talking like December, February. All right, cool. Let's go to wing players. So now we start getting some bronze. Bronze are doing different things. And then by the time we hit the end, then it's like, all right, let's get the crazy bigs. Because I just look at it as you sell me a Wemby early. But from what I've seen, man, it's just gonna be tough. Wemby's hard. Like, and I just feel like in the early game, it's really, really gonna be about making sure everything has a counter. I think it was 2K20 where I just felt like they were killing it in terms of, okay, cool, we launched a crazy card. Here's a budget option that can compete. Like I remember that like it was a particular season we got like a diamond Rick Smits, and that card was so good. He was so good as a free diamond, and then you could badge him out and give him a shoe that made him even better. And now you don't feel like you have to go get Yao or whoever the case or whoever the big was at the time. And so we kind of need a lot of that. We're going to need a lot of that because Wemby exists, man. Like we're not going to get away from tall players being great in my team because my Wemby is a my team card. It's really that simple. Wemby plays like a my team card in play now already. The game's not even out. He's nasty. Like it just is what it is. So I really feel like they just gotta get to a place where how they drop is really, really strict. It has to be strict if you're going to sell, if you can now sell me the card directly, because man, I just can't imagine getting something like a Tim Thomas early, because to Meech's point, that basically that told us where they could go. And he was so different. Like he was the defensively, even the Larry Bird didn't matter. You know, we didn't have as many defensive options in 23 as we do in 24, I would say, but it was a whole different thing. So that's probably my only things that I'd like to see. I want to see a whole different process from 2K or thought process about containing the meta than we've ever seen. And I think it's particularly important now that we have the ability to just buy it directly from them or buy MT points to buy it directly from them, right? So it's very, very important, because once this thing is blown, you're not going to be able to put the cap on it, just like we saw this year.
Yeah.
Once it's cracked wide open, that's it.
Agreed. It'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting year, and I think for a couple of weeks, you're going to set the tone and answer a lot of questions that we're just like dying to figure out how that's going to work out. And let's just hope for the best on that, man. Let's touch on crossplay a little bit. I know we're excited about that. Can finally hoop with Spatial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally
hoop with Meech. Now you don't have to have two systems, Meech.
And a PC. Sell one of these things, man. Gotta get one of these things out of here.
So let's touch on that. Obviously, with
Desk has got a lot of hardware, I bet.
Obviously, co-op was a big thing, a big part of the community. I didn't play as much, and a lot of it was because of that. Just guys were on PlayStation, I'm on Xbox. But that's going to be cool. Hopefully that holds up. And let's also bridge that into like the park. I'm way more excited about that side of the game this year than I have been in the last like 2 or 3 years. You guys feeling different? How much do you guys like mess around in the park side?
I plan on getting in the park. Sorry, Meech. Go ahead, buddy.
No, it's okay. For me, so before I was even Meech or whatever, when I was just old dude playing 2K, I actually came from a super heavy, and I mean heavy, pro-am background. I mean, like, I'm down to like, there was a league, like an organized league ran by, a company, and I like managed the whole team. Like, I mean, I was the whole, the whole thing. Yeah. So, I do come from a super heavy pro-am background. And some park is sprinkled into that. I consider them pretty much, they're different, but they're within the same kind of realm. You need a player to do it. And I fully plan to actually get back into it. It's just something about it's a different beast, So you start to kind of feel it a little bit with co-op and my team. Um, it gives you that part because you can finally. My team was usually that mode where you get on yourself, your own time, you do whatever you need to do, you get off. Um, but with the co-op in there, now you have friends playing, and it enhances the experience. But for Park, man, this year, I told myself, look, they had to have been working on this game for like a few years because what they did in it was not a yearly buff. I mean, they added the affiliations, they expanded. Well, they trimmed down the affiliations. It's two now, but the they brought back aspects of older 2Ks with like, depending on your affiliation, you're getting specific boosts to your players. The visuals and just how immersive and expansive it is. The city is just like ridiculous. And then like I said earlier in the pod, they have the new kind of mold your player as you go thing, which is literally like one of the most interesting things. I feel like it's one of those things, where they are listening because I've heard that exact badge progression regression thing for a few years now, actually. So I just see this, they finally have the tech to do it or whatever. But I mean, that side of the game, it looks so fun, especially if you're kind of like a purist, kind of like how us three here are for sure. Just that ability to, scope the player in the beginning with ideas of how you want him to do. And then you go out and you play. You play how you want to play, and that molds how your player plays instead of, oh, I have to go to my career and just, spam this step back in threes because my limitless badge needs to go to Hall of Fame. It's just you play how you want, it molds how your player plays, and that's how it should really be. You should be rewarded for how you play, and things that you aren't using, you should be less proficient in. It's how it is. If I go and I practice jumpers, at the park, and I don't practice any ball handling, why should I be a great dribbler? So it's kind of those things that I'm pretty excited to see how that part of it really plays out. And then the crossplay thing just adds, obviously, like you said, elevate, the people that you couldn't reach before, hopefully, obviously I expect to have some hiccups. Hopefully they prove me wrong and it's just most seamless thing ever. But it's great as a thing for both modes, both my team and Park players. As you progress through your main mode, you're getting rewards for that mode, so it's a little more inviting as well. Yeah. It's not, oh, I'm losing track on, my level progression over here. I need to make, now you can just kind of freely kind of flow and just, I think that's good for players in general. Yeah. Just, because sometimes we get caught in our own little bubble. Park players are in their bubble, my team players in their bubble, but now this kind of invites people into each side of it. So each mode should be seeing kind of, some company from the other modes, and it just gives you a different perspective on the game as a whole. When you stop thinking of things that just, the game is this way because of my team, or the game is this way because of Park, you get into that other thing, you're like, okay, this is how this is why, this person thinks this. But I don't know. I'm definitely going to be over there. Pro-Am, mostly. Probably not as much Park every now and then, but definitely some Pro-Am, some 5v5. It's a different atmosphere.
For sure. Real quick, I'd love the fact of that you progress with the badges like that. And I would love to see that concept somehow be integrated into like the attributes as well.
Yeah.
To where just you work on, like you said, you work on your jumper, you work on your dribbles, you work on whatever, and like that directly leads to like a little bit of attribute abuse. I know they have to sell VC, like I get it, but just a little bit of help along the way with that on a dual aspect of that, and then incorporate it, like, oh, like you want to really improve in this? Well, go buy a trainer with VC to like help you with that stuff like that, that like, it just kind of makes more sense in a real world perspective type of deal. But I'm super pumped, man. I'm gonna let Spatial jump into the conversation about that, but I just wanted to get that thought before I forgot it.
No, man, I actually like that idea too, Elevate, and I think that's a great point to kind of think about what the future could hold. To be honest, in terms of now we're in a cross-play environment, they have the tech to support, organically, having badges and the badge power kind of fluctuating based on what you're using or not. I think if 2K ever goes to a live service model, I think you hit it right on the head. Give people bonuses on if they want to spend money. Okay, cool. I'm a level 70. I don't want to max out my player. I want to just earn it all. All right, well, I might use some VC that I earn on a coach bonus that boosts my ratings, or my ratings rate in terms of, whenever I'm playing games, like how that'll increase my speed or whatever the case. I think that's a great idea. In terms of that interconnectivity for my team, I think it's great. Just being able to find games, man. You would always hear on the Xbox side that they would be struggling to find games. So it's going to be great. Personally, like I have an older brother. He's 10 years older than me, and him and I haven't played video games, haven't played 2K in a long time. I think the last game we played was like live 08, when I was like living at home. So like, I'm looking forward to being able to connect with him, my godson, Sterling, be able to connect with him and have a good time. I think all that stuff is really cool. But I definitely plan on playing Park this year, like for sure. I'm not a rec guy. Like I don't want to do all that just yet. You know what I mean? I want to just kind of get in the Park scene and just kind of be amongst folks running games. Like I just want to run games and then go back to my team and kind of be in and out. But I love that you can advance your season level, either way. And it's cross progression essentially. So if I'm a level 30 here, I'm a level 30 over there. I think that's how it works. And you kind of just keep on rocking. There's no need to go, oh, dang, I'm level 40 on my team. Let me switch. So that was a good choice on 2K. But yeah, man, I could see the way for them to kind of go to a live service model now, for sure. And I'm really looking forward to like seeing what happens in the next 5 years. But this is going to be a great test, with I would say like their marketing and just the reception right now. It seems like everybody is hyped. From on the online standpoint, and even folks that are a bit more casual. So if these servers hold up and the crossplay works well, we might be in for an even crazier future.
I love it, man. All right, so I think we're kind of like what we wanted to talk about today. The next time we do this will be 2 weeks from now. So we will be a full week into 2K24. So whole new kind of set of topics to delve into. Meech, Spatial, I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys know I've appreciated you guys and rock with you guys for a while now. So I'm excited to see this kind of like continue to flourish and blossom and see where we go with this, man.
Of course.
Yeah, any parting words for everybody out there?
Just get ready, man. I mean, we're, for some of us, less than a week, globally, full week away from me dropping y'all off with Devin Booker. No, man, it's coming, man. I'm ready. I'm excited. I know everybody else is too. So just rest up, man. Give your mind some ease. Try to take it easy coming into it, because once the game drops, man, we're gonna be full steam ahead. We're not getting off. So
yeah, I love how calmly you went into that and then just dropped us with like, yeah, you're just gonna get dropped off with D-Book. That was
I had to spill some.
Spatial, any parting words, man?
Yeah, man. I kind of echo what Meech is saying, man. Get ready. To the creators, man, that got a little discouraged by some of the changes, I want to just echo Meech's sentiments, man. Don't lose sight of why you even got into this. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be fun. You're gonna have some fun some way, somehow, I hope. And like Elevate was saying, just because whatever you do is gone doesn't mean people aren't gonna watch you. This is a great era to make content in right now. And whether you're on TikTok streaming, whether you're on Twitch streaming, whether you're on Kick streaming, wherever you are, people will watch. So, keep your head up, stay positive, and stay creative. Keep dreaming, link up with people, build community, man. This is the year. This is the year for us all to really build community, build networks. We kind of have a pseudo network going on, man. And our network is expansive. Meech is connected to a lot of people. Elevate is connected to a lot of people. I'm connected to a lot of people. So the further we continue to stay connected and keep creating, the better we'll all be. And good luck in 24.
Absolutely, man. You guys hit it on the head with that. And like I said, man, we're all in this. We're all 2K heads. You know, we have way more similarities and we have differences. So let's embrace that. Let's have a good, positive year. Help each other build. Tap into people that like you don't normally tap into. You know, see what that experience is like. See what that perspective is like. Whether you're on the sim side, comp side, casual side, offline grinder side, online sweat, whatever it may be, man. Tap in. See what other people have to offer. See why they enjoy their experiences. And you just kind of like broaden your worldview a little bit. So that'll wrap it up, man. This was awesome. Thank you guys for taking time out to do this. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace, y'all.